Hello everyone, I'm Cool Guy, welcome back. On 3.5, we have This Week at Bungie. There's some major changes coming to exotics, so I'm going to go in depth on those and give thoughts, what they mean. But there's also so much information in it, and I'm not going to read it line for line. There's some sections I'm going to skip. Of course, there's going to be linked down in the description if you guys want to check it out word for word. But a quick recap going through it, the soft cap's 950, powerfuls are at 1000, max is 1010. They're also going to be looking to make some quality of life updates for the Pinnacle band starting 2.8.1, which is going to come mid-season. They'll be upgrading some existing powerful rewards to Pinnacle rewards. That's weekly Crucible Strike, Gamut challenges, as well as the weekly Clan Engrams. They're giving us more sources, so that's pretty good. Very important note, the artifact power is not going to be disabled for the first weekend of trials. Now, don't worry about that too much. It'd be different if it went on for a month, but the very start of a season, you're going to be grinding your regular power, and there's probably going to be some players that are going to take that challenge to just grind out bounties and things like that to get their artifact level up, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. They reiterate that the long-term plan is to enable a power cap for trials in Iron Banner. They don't have a firm date yet, but that's one of the main things that they're working on. They're going to look at damage curves, and with whatever they come up with, they will talk about in depth at some point. And they also mentioned with the soft cap and power cap that they're looking to present an element of gear progression available each season, as well as the underlying systems for future updates like the forthcoming one for legendary weapons mentioned by Luke Smith in the director's cut. So pay attention to that. There's also a section for the Eververse, and I'm not going to go through it. There's a link down below in the description if you want to read it word for word. But for this video, I want to jump straight into the final preview of the patch notes. We've seen some weapon tuning, but now they get into some exotics. And this is for PvE, PvP. There's some user interface updates, bug fixes, and more. So let's get into the Hunter exotic armor with the Assassin's Cowl. Invisibility and healing effect now triggers on powered melee, both against combatants and guardians and finishers. So that's really good because in PvE, you would need to finish someone. And in my opinion, for higher level activities, especially starting out, the Assassin's Cowl now has a place. It's kind of like lamps from the older raid. You can use your dodge, get the melee, take out a thrall, go invis, and kind of get your bearings back. And the hunter using invis was always the medic. It very well could become a very viable option. And they say the duration of the invisibility perk granted by this exotic increases based on the tier of the enemy defeated, and Arc Staff no longer activates the perk. So very exciting for Assassin's Cowl. And that's specifically in PvE, it's always been really good in PvP. The Frosties, they made it to where it can no longer stack with other class ability energy generating perks. This is a good thing. Next we have Khepri Sting. All smoke bombs deal 150% damage when wearing this exotic. So I want to take a small second here and talk about Khepri's. I do think Khepri's is going to be S tier for trials. And this is for a number of reasons. I'm going to bring up some footage from the review I did. There's a link down below if you guys want to check out the full review on how it works for each subclass. But with trials in mind, throwing the grenade down, getting true sight, being able to see, get some information is always top tier. But now they throw in this 150% damage to the smoke bomb, so that's very good for zoning and throwing it on a res, things like that. When it comes to the hunter, I do think Spectral Blades is going to be one of the top subclass picks for Trials of Osiris simply because of true sight. Getting the crouching headshot, being able to see through walls, and going invisible. But the big thing about Khepri's is remember, if you do have your melee charge, it drops on the enemy. So with Middle Tree, you have Flawless Execution, you also have the Shattering Strike, and this is like a guaranteed win when you get a melee off. Because imagine you're in trials, you get a pick, or say someone's rushing you, you have Flawless Execution, you can melee them, they're debuffed, they can't see anything because of the corrosive smoke, and with something like a Drang, it's just a 2-tap to the body. It's very, very strong to be aggressive with, knowing that your melee is going to do 100, you're going to drop the bomb, you're going to debuff them, they can't see anything, and then you just go on with your day. Not to mention, at any point, you could shade step next to a wall, using the dodge, get the smoke back, smoke your feet, then see where they are, and then move. And on top of all that, again, one of the big things is going to be smoking bodies and stopping reses. So be on the lookout for that. We have the Orpheus Rigs, the maximum amount of super is going to be 50% from Shadow Shot, so no more getting all of your super back essentially, because you can, even though they nerfed it, they put a cap on it. It's still going to be really, really good. You're just going to have to kind of chain orbs with it, but definitely a nerf. We have the Young Ahamkara Spine, increase the explosion for trip mines by 14%, so not only are they sticking to people, but they're also increasing the distance in which you can get some tags and some hits with it. So very good for trials, very good for regular PvP, and that Ahamkara Spine trip mine has a lot of health, so it should be really, really good. Titan, pretty good buff to the Ashen Wake. Killing an enemy with a fusion grenade while wearing this exotic now refunds the grenade energy, and the amount of grenade energy refunded scales based on the tier of enemy killed. They don't say anything about the Crucible, but maybe if you do get a final blow, it's just going to give you your grenade back. So you think bottom tree. It could have a place. You could maybe use a 110 hand cannon, do 91 to the head, stick them, get the kill, get the grenade back. Could be really, really good. The Antaeus wards. The shield created during a slide no longer allows chip damage. That's really good for those. We have the Doomfangs. Fixed a bug where the Doomfang pauldrons would sometimes grant super energy from melee kills while in your super. Dune Marchers, this one's kinda nuts. Increase the radius of the static charge to 20 meters up from 12. 20 meters is no joke, guys. That's like sidearm range. That's a long distance. You could see a lot of middle tree strikers when it comes to trials. And beyond that, even in PvE, that's a pretty big distance, guys. It should be very interesting. The MK44 stand-asides. This one could be big. It could be huge for aggressive players. Reduce the delay from the start of sprinting until the overshield comes into 0.5 seconds, down from 1.25. So a half a second, you're gonna get the overshield up, you're gonna be able to rush in to shoulder charge or shotgun, whatever it is, to get through a choke point. That's huge. Then we move on to the one-eyed mask. The target marking from this exotic has been replaced with target highlighting, eliminating the ability to detect targets through walls. I'm interested to see what they mean by target highlighting, but it no longer provides a damage bonus when defeating the marked target, but they've restored the previous overshield granted by defeating your marked target, which now has a duration of 6 seconds, down from 8. So one-eyed mask users, I wouldn't really be too upset because you're getting an overshield, like out of thin air, and all you have to do is win the gunfight that you should be trying to win in the first place. I'm gonna bring it back up later on as I'm going through this, but it might turn out that the only class that can see through walls is Spectral Blades, and if that's the case, I think that there might be more patch notes to this. They might be nerfing Spectral Blades. If you think about it, if they're taking wall hacks out, I wouldn't be surprised come the full patch notes that Spectral Blades won't have True Sight, and only something like Khepri Sting would be able to do that, so I wouldn't be too upset because all of the stuff isn't out. Moving on to the Severance Enclosure. This could be interesting. The explosion now triggers on powered melee, both against combatants and guardians and finishers. The radius and damage of the explosion created by it is based on the tier of enemy defeated. So we're gonna see how that plays out. It isn't really that much of a strong exotic currently, so they're trying to buff it. We'll see how it shakes out. We have the Warlock. The Veil now is guaranteed to drop with a minimum of plus 16 to intellect. Controverse Hold, reduce the damage reduction granted by this exotic to 20%, down from 40. That's always been the big thing about this. They nerfed handheld Supernova, and getting only 20% damage reduction is a huge difference than getting 40%. Because a lot of times, especially with Controverse Hold, you get that random amount of grenade energy back, and remember, if you kill them, if you guys kind of tie, the handheld ties with you, they don't get any grenade energy back. Currently, before this nerf, you could be very careless when holding the grenade because you can tank a lot of damage, so in my opinion, that's really good. We have the Sanguine Alchemy. They completely redesigned it. It has a new perk, Blood Magic. It allows the wearer to pause the cooldown timer of any rift that they're standing in by getting weapon kills, extending the rift's duration. So that could be really good on Middle Tree Warlock, talking about the Well class. But they took away wall hacks. And again, that's like one of the last known things that can do a wall hack. And then we have Foe Tracer, and that could become top tier. Very, very interesting. We'll see how that rework just plays out. We have the Ophidian Aspects. Really good buff to these, because they already do great things, but they now increase the lunge range of all Warlock melee attacks, even if the ability is on cooldown. Now, I kind of wish this went to the Claws. They give you 2 melee charges, because those already don't get enough play. The Ophidians are still good, but the Claws of Ahamkara are kind of struggling. But that's a great buff because they're already getting an extended melee distance like out of the gate, so this is increasing it a little bit further for all melee attacks, even if you don't have the ability cooldown, so that's great. And this one's super interesting. Brow. The buff powered by this exotic now increases your grenade damage by 10% per stack. The buff to allies' grenade recharges now kicks in when you cast your grenade. The exotic now provides a buff text notification indicating how many allies are currently benefiting from your increased grenade recharge. I think that's interesting. I can't wait to play with that and see how that works. Moving to the legendary Engrams, they increase the number of armor sets available from world drops to 11 sets, up from 3. That's massive, but it's including the faction rally armor. And from what I've seen, it was kind of tough to do, but you can use your previous faction rally ornaments and apply them to those sets. Several sets that were previously unavailable or extremely difficult to acquire are now available as world drops. They say for armor stats, Prime Engrams will now more reliably drop armor with higher overall stat rolls and spikier distributions. And that's a great feeling because I talked about it in a previous video. It's so tough when like only Iron Banner and very few other outlets can give you good stat rolls. Like my raid gear is almost worthless and it's supposed to be like a pinnacle type gear, if that makes sense. I really hope that they upped those as well, but it's kind of disheartening getting brand new gear and it has like a 51 on the stat. Like there's blues in my Postmaster that are like at 52. Like it's difficult. And also some really cool things for the user interface. On console, it's been changed to match the PC experience. allowing for future updates. So they added the ability to change the color of your reticle on consoles. You make them green, red, whatever you want. Well, not whatever you want, there's 7 different colors, but it's the same as PC. They added hint text during loading screens, added comma separators to the glimmer count in the loot stream. They added categories to the quest screen. Quest items are now automatically filtered to any of the 7 categories: New Light, All Quest, Shadowkeep, Seasonal Playlist, Exotics in the past. So that's going to make it a lot easier for New Light players. They fixed stuttering, frame rate drops when loading and applying mods, because that's a horrible experience trying to apply a mod while you're playing. They improved the frame rate in Gambit and Gambit Prime, fixed the frame rate in various things, fixed stutter at higher frame rates on PC, so that's really good. And there's still going to be more patch notes when it comes to Tuesday at 9 a.m. That's an hour before Season of Worthy begins. I might do a quick video just talking about that. That way we're all prepared and we can go have some fun. And quick reminder, I'm reading it right now. And I want to remind you, Daylight Savings Time begins Sunday, March 8th. They say if your region takes part in jumping forward, your weekly reset time will be an hour later than you're used to. And last important part of this, 8 a.m., Destiny service maintenance begins, 8:45, it's taken offline, 9, the update begins rolling out, and that's when they say they're going to drop the patch notes, 10:01, it's back online, Season of the Worthy begins, and at 12, the maintenance concludes. So those are the things that I really wanted to get through. What exotic changes are you excited for? Which ones do you not like? Like, I personally think, since they pretty much took out all wall hacks, like, I think Special Blades is getting changed, guys. I really do. And if that's the case, that's probably a good thing, if all the other subclasses are getting it taken away. So let's talk about it down below. Massive changes to the game. Let's talk about it. Thank you for watching, and until the next one, I am Cool Guy.